Isabel stood just for a moment in the hall outside the ballroom. She touched her green dress that she and Mother had just finished that afternoon. And she heard the band beginning to play. And she looked in, she could see the sunlight coming through the windows in the late afternoon. Smell the roses that the ladies of the Knoxville Ladies Club had put around the room. Oh, and there was the tea service being set up. And the silver tea service gleaming, and the table so white. And she could see that the ladies, some of them had brought their help to serve tea, and they were moving around setting up. Then she saw that Mrs. McIver was already in the chaperone's corner. She wondered what it was like to be old, to have such a bosom and wear such a corset. Isabel! Isabel, where have you been? I have been looking all over. Oh, Nellie, you look beautiful. Well, I have to tell you. Guess who's in town? Guess who got back from college in time to go to the tea dance? John Henry Nelson. Oh, yeah, I saw him. He's walking right down Clinch Street, swinging in his suitcase. Well, see, Mammy had already brought in my dress and put it on the table, and I went out and I said, oh, look at there, what a lovely man that is. And right that moment, Mama came in, and she said, Nellie Mae Frazier, what are you doing standing at the window in your wrapper like you were some Mary just off the boat? I said, oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, but I do believe that's Jed Nelson's son just walking up the street. She said, oh, let me see. Oh, and Isabel, you know, the girls are going to stay at my house after the dance. Well, I added one. I asked Agnes Nelson if she'd come home. Nellie, you fox, you. You're going to have John Henry's sister there? Well, if he's gone out with somebody in Carolina, maybe I should find out. Don't you worry. If he doesn't sign my dance card, I don't know what I'll do. I mean, I like to have my slippers under his bed. Nellie, shh, come on, let's go now. And the two friends, they locked arms, and they went into the ballroom. And Isabel, being Isabel, she went over to Mrs. McIver and said how much they appreciated that they're making it possible for us to have such a good time. And just at that moment, a young man came up and said, Mrs. McIver, Miss Gordon, I do believe this is my dance. And Isabel stepped out on the dance floor, holding up the first layer of the green dress. And Mrs. McIver, she looked at the others and she said, that is a well-brought-up young lady. I don't care if her people are from Michigan. And Isabel danced. And she thought, is there anything better than to be young and pretty and dancing? And she saw Nellie coming out on the floor with himself, looking so handsome, John Michael did, in his white dinner jacket. And then something happened. Isabel remembered all her life. It was as if a silence came down. She could see John Michael was leaning over the tea service and he was getting a cup of tea for Nellie. night, but that wasn't it. Because right in back of him, standing in his white servant coat, Mrs. MacIvor's yard boy, Jim, picking up some of the dirty dishes. They had the same profile. John Michael and Jim, the yard man. The same nose and chin and something about the way their shoulders sat. And then the music started again. And the chatter and the teas being served, and the night went by, and hours later, the girls were in the third floor of the Frasier's house. They had taken off their ball dresses and let down their hair, and they were talking, and Mrs. Frasier called up from downstairs and said, "Young ladies, some people in this house plan to sleep tonight. You turn out the lamps now." And in the dark, Isabel could hear somebody crying. It was Agnes. She couldn't hear her at first, but she was saying, "It's an uncle. It was an uncle." And then Isabel could hear other people crying. Her friends. And she thought, well, they're crying for their lost families.